Earnings are in, and this quarter, reports are all over the map.
You've got, on one hand, Chipotle and Wingstop that are just meteoric right now.
On the other hand,
it's Starbucks, which surprised everyone when it announced same-store sales were down by 4%.
Jim Cramer interviewed the CEO of Starbucks, Lakshman Narasimhan, and kind of yelled at him.
Is it not time to pause, sir, and figure out what's really going wrong?
And the Miami Grand Prix is underway.
Cars, fans, and pizza?
We really wanted to showcase all of our bells and whistles, so to speak.
And Nation's Restaurant News' Brett Thorne shares his prediction for the food of the summer.
Maybe it's not the sexiest vegetable category out there, but there's a lot going on with it.
Hey everyone, this is Alicia Kelso. I'm the executive editor of Nation's Restaurant News. I am pouring through early results from Q1 2024. On one hand, you've got fast casual concepts like Chipotle and Wingstop that are absolutely killing it right now, both on traffic and sales. On the other hand, you've got companies that are performing a bit steadily and sort of turning things around, like Burger King and Chili's and even Domino's. That said, there are also companies that are having a really hard go at it, or at least they did in the first quarter, like McDonald's, Starbucks, and Yum Brands. McDonald's was the outlier in this group because they actually turned in positive same-store sales growth. Interestingly, McDonald's and Yum are in the QSR category, which sort of spells out to me that consumers are pricing fatigued and therefore trading up into fast casual, perhaps even into casual.
Thanks, Alicia. Starbucks is among the brands falling into that category. The coffee chain just faced one of its worst quarters in recent years. NRN's editorial director Sam Okus shares why, while also sharing this.
The coffee category is really one of the most interesting categories in the restaurant industry today. So to illustrate this, I think it's important to zoom in specifically on Dutch Bros, which is just absolutely white hot right now. Dutch Bros recently announced their first quarter earnings, in which they announced that revenue was up almost 40% in the first quarter, but importantly, same-store sales were up about 10%. So for context, this Oregon-based brand now has about 900 locations open in the US, and when it opens in Florida later this year, it can truly say that it is a coast-to-coast brand. But Dutch Bros competitors are also performing very, very well. So you have to contrast this success with Starbucks, which surprised everyone when it announced that in its most recent quarter, same-store sales were down by 4%. And the reason for why is because traffic is down. And Starbucks has said that a lot of that daily consumer who drops into Starbucks for that coffee is starting to pull back because of high prices. So as traffic struggles, so too do the sales at Starbucks. It might also be a market share thing. Of course, as Seven Brew and Dutch Bros and these other drive-through concepts really grow, they could be stealing share from Starbucks.
Thanks, Sam. Now, in response to its poor earnings, Starbucks plans to invest in its customer experience within its restaurants. That includes high-tech solutions to control indoor noise and lighting. It will also explore new ways to meet the overnight demand, and will make its app more accessible to non-loyalty members. Let's now turn to...
Hi, I'm Joanna Fantozzi, Senior Editor with Nation's Restaurant News. I went with NRN to the Restaurant Leadership Conference this month in Phoenix for the first time. Some highlights include getting some hospitality lessons from keynoter Martha Stewart, data as the next big restaurant tech frontier, and labor cost and pricing concerns, especially with new minimum wage legislation like the $20 minimum wage in California.
Perez went to the inside.
Formula One Miami Grand Prix, the event taking place in early May.
Open it up.
We stopped by to see how North Italia, a restaurant brand owned by the Cheesecake Factory, is using the event to build its own experience zone.
It's really about what things can you take from inside of the restaurant and transition into something that gets people interested.
And we wrap up today with insight on
Squash.
the vegetable making its way across the menu.
This spring and summer, you'll be seeing items like zucchini carpaccio, and in the winter, you'll see all sorts of creative things, including Dan Barber of Blue Hill fermenting winter squash, turning it into a puree, and serving it instead of butter. That's because you can't milk cows in the winter, and Barber likes to use local ingredients. As Washington, D.C. chef Ryan Rotino told me, Squash can be a great way to add a feeling of richness to a dish without adding a bunch of fat.
For more coverage on these headlines and others, be sure to check out nrn.com. Till next time, I'm Diana Blass.